Hey, what's up, fellow mortals? Ever feel like your brain is a browser with 50 tabs open, all screaming at you about things you should be doing, things you forgot, and things you're worried about? Welcome to the club. I think we all have moments where we feel like we're constantly juggling chainsaws in a tornado. But listen, we are diving into Stoicism today. And trust me, this is not the boring, dusty lecture hall philosophy you might remember from school. We're talking about ancient wisdom that's as useful today as finding free Wi-Fi in an airport or realizing your favorite pizza place delivers. It's practical, powerful, and totally life-changing. You might have this image of Stoics as these super serious, stiff upper lip folks who never crack a smile, like a Roman statue with resting philosophy face. But Stoicism isn't about becoming a feelingless robot who just shrugs at everything. It's about learning how to handle your mess without letting the mess totally overwhelm and handle you. It's the ultimate mental martial art, teaching you how to dodge life's punches and stay standing. So, buckle up. We're cracking open the juiciest quotes from the heavy hitters: Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, and the whole philosophical gang. And we're going to figure out what they actually mean when you apply them to real life. That bad traffic jam, getting ghosted by a date, or when your favorite streaming service cancels your show right after a cliffhanger. We're going to get our minds right, shall we? We're starting with the philosophical foundation, the three titans of Stoicism, whose quotes form the bedrock of this entire system. Firstly, we'll hear from Marcus Aurelius on time, then Seneca on fear, and finally, Epictetus on control. Get ready to download the three core principles that instantly change your perspective on life's daily chaos. Let's dive into the biggest hits from the masters. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who wrote a diary. First up, the OG, the emperor-philosopher himself, Marcus Aurelius. Now this dude literally ran the Roman Empire, which, let's be honest, I imagine was like having the world's most intensely stressful 24/7 job that involved constant warfare, political backstabbing, and terrible plagues. Yet, he wrote down his deepest thoughts in what we now call the Meditations. Basically, his personal journal and self-help guide. Talk about relatable content. He was giving himself pep talks while running the known world. His quote on time and mortality is a total gut punch, but it's delivered with love, like a tough friend telling you to get your act together. A person's life is over quickly, in a single hour. It is a tiny fraction of eternity, a tiny fraction of the whole universe, a tiny fraction of the earth. Whoa, heavy. Marcus is essentially saying, look buddy, you're a blip. He's not trying to be mean or diminish your existence. He's giving you a much-needed reality check and an urgent call to action. Think of your life as a single, quick commercial break in a massive 1,000-season epic series. You're important for the duration of that commercial, sure, but the show, the universe, goes on. Why does he hammer this point home? To get us to stop sweating the small, insignificant stuff. Imagine you spend 3 solid hours stewing because your boss sent a grumpy email, or because someone unfriended you on social media. Marcus is tapping you on the shoulder and saying, dude, in the grand, infinite scheme of things, is that email or that unfriending worth losing 3 precious hours of your incredibly short blip on this planet? Is it an actual matter of life and death? Or is it just a slightly annoying Tuesday? The lesson here is memento mori. Remember you must die. And no, that's not morbid. It's incredibly motivating. If your time here is so short, stop wasting it being angry, jealous, or glued to your phone mindlessly scrolling. Go do the thing you actually want to do. Live like your time is a limited edition sneaker drop. You gotta use them before they're gone, because once they're gone, they are gone. That urgency is what drives Stoic action. Seneca, the king of anxiety hacks. Next, we have Seneca. He was a playwright, a powerful advisor, and a phenomenal writer. If Marcus was the introspective emperor, Seneca was definitely the ancient world's life coach, specializing in mind management. The man understood anxiety way before we had a clinical word for it, and he figured out its greatest weakness. Here's his famous one, and it's the ultimate truth bomb that exposes the inner workings of our panicked minds. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Seneca just called out 90% of your current worries. Think about it. How often do you lie in bed at 3 a.m., conjuring up worst-case scenarios? Your mind is running a full-blown, catastrophic movie trailer about things that haven't happened and probably won't happen. That's suffering, but it's suffering you're inventing. Let's break down the disconnect. Your flight is delayed. Reality. You're sitting in a moderately comfy chair, you have a snack, and you're maybe an hour late. Imagination. Oh my God, I'm going to miss my connection. I'll be stranded in a strange city. I'll lose my luggage. I'll starve. I'll never see my family again. See the massive, unnecessary leap? The Seneca strategy, then, is to realize that most of our pain is premeditated misery. It's self-inflicted stress from what-if thinking. Seneca would tell us, when you feel panic rising, you need to stop and ask yourself one simple question. Is this happening right now? Or is this a movie I'm directing in my head? If it's a movie, hit the pause button and force yourself to deal only with the present reality. What's the actual, concrete problem in this exact moment? Usually, it's pretty manageable. Stop borrowing trouble from the future. It charges way too much interest. Epictetus, the power of perspective. Our final member of the Stoic Holy Trinity is Epictetus. This guy was born a slave and rose to become one of the most respected philosophy teachers in the entire world. Because he knew real hardship, his wisdom has this incredibly powerful edge. He saw the worst of life and still found inner peace. His biggest lesson is all about where you choose to put your energy and attention. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This, my friends, is the absolute bedrock of Stoicism. Epictetus is drawing a clear, thick line between the things you can control and the things you cannot control, and he insists you only focus on the former. What can you control? Your judgment, your opinions, your goals, your reactions, and your effort. What can't you control? The weather, the stock market, what other people think of you, that rude driver who stole your parking spot, getting fired, global events. Let's use a scenario. You're fired from your job. What you can't control is the boss's decision. The deed is done. What you can control is your reaction. Do you wallow in self-pity, bitterness, and anger for months? Or do you immediately update your resume, network, and rationally see this as a pivot point, an opportunity for a better, more fulfilling fit? The external event, the job loss, is fundamentally neutral. It's just a thing that happened. Your reaction is the only thing that makes it a good or bad experience for your soul. Epictetus says, quit fighting reality. Focus your energy only on your internal response. This simple mental switch is what gives you unbreakable inner freedom. It's your superpower. You decide what everything means to you. Now that we've got the core principles down, we need to understand the structural pillars that support the entire Stoic worldview. In this section, we travel back to the origins to meet the school's architects. We'll explore Chrysippus's rational logic, Zeno's power of endurance through daily acts, and Cleanthes' total acceptance of destiny. These three foundational concepts are what turn philosophy into a consistent lifestyle. Chrysippus, the architect of rational thought. Now let's move on to some of the earlier thinkers who built the whole system. Meet Chrysippus, often called the second founder of Stoicism, because he took Zeno's initial ideas and organized them into a massive, coherent system. He was a logician, a systematic thinker, and probably the kind of guy who organized his bookshelf by philosophical school and then color-coded it. The mind is not only a part of the body, but also a living organism, which has its own laws and its own nature. This quote reflects Chrysippus's deep commitment to rational thought, and his view of the mind as a structured, systematic entity that must be guided by logic. For Chrysippus, reason was not just a tool, but the very foundation of a good and emotionally balanced life. He taught that emotions arise from flawed judgments, and that by dismantling irrational beliefs, destructive feelings, such as blind anger, paralyzing fear, and excessive desire, lose their footing and dissolve. In his philosophy, logic is the key that unlocks freedom from turmoil, allowing the mind to stand firm in clarity and virtue. Let's use the classic example of anger. You get furious because someone cut you off in traffic. Your instant, unexamined judgment is, that person is deliberately trying to ruin my day. They are a terrible, selfish human being, and they must be taught a lesson. Chrysippus would intervene, saying, "Hold up. The only thing you factually know is that a car moved in front of yours. The judgment that they are a terrible person is irrational and optional. They were probably just distracted, or in a hurry, or simply made a mistake. The key is to correct your inner reasoning. If you fix the initial false premise, the judgmental thought, you eliminate the resulting emotion. It's exactly like debugging a computer program. Fix the bad code, the irrational belief, and the program, your mind, runs smoothly and calmly." Zeno of Citium, the founder and the power of endurance. Zeno of Citium is the big kahuna, the original founder of Stoicism. He lectured his students in a public space called the Stoa Poikile, hence the name Stoic. His central driving idea was that living in accordance with nature is the ultimate good. For humans, our nature is first and foremost rationality, but he also stressed the importance of endurance. His quote shows us that a good life isn't a quick fix, but a sustained project. Well-being is attained gradually by a succession of right acts, and that is no trifle. What does this mean? It means a good life isn't about one heroic, dramatic moment. It's about a daily grind of doing the right thing. It's the philosophical equivalent of compound interest. Small, consistent efforts over time yield massive, long-term results. When Zeno talks about endurance, he's not just talking about gritting your teeth through pain. It's the persistent, calm practice of virtue, even when it's inconvenient or hard. It's the ability to stick to your rational choice, like exercising regularly or saving money, even when your immediate urges, like that massive chocolate cake or an impulse purchase, are screaming at you. Applying this means viewing every single day as a training opportunity. You managed to not yell at your spouse during an argument today? That's a right act. You stuck to your budget even though you saw a tempting sale? That's a right act. You went for that run even though you were bone-tired? That's a right act. Zeno reminds us that these little wins, these quiet acts of endurance, are the actual stuff of a happy, virtuous life. It's the small choices that build the big, impressive character. Cleanthes, Hymn to Zeus and Acceptance. Cleanthes took over the school after Zeno. His most famous work is the Hymn to Zeus, which perfectly captures the Stoic view of the cosmos and divine order. This is where we learn the power of radical acceptance. Listen to these lines and feel the power of surrender. Lead me, O Zeus, and thou, O destiny, the way that I am bid by you to go. To follow I am ready. If I choose not, I shall be wicked, and will follow nonetheless. This is the very heart of radical acceptance, the idea that the universe, or Zeus, or nature, is an ordered, rational system. and trying to fight its fundamental laws is both utterly futile and incredibly foolish. When Cleanthes says you'll follow even if you don't choose, and be wicked for fighting it, he's not talking about moral sin. He means you can follow fate graciously and willingly, or you can follow it grudgingly and with bitterness. Either way, you are following it. The wicked part is the internal rebellion, the unnecessary suffering we inflict on ourselves by screaming, "It's not fair," at a universe that isn't listening. Think of it like being in a powerful river. You can try to paddle upstream, exhausting yourself and getting nowhere, or you can turn your boat around and row with the current, gracefully steering around the rocks and debris. The current, destiny, the universe, is overwhelmingly powerful. The Stoic says, "I accept its direction, and I will focus my limited energy on how I sail." Acceptance is not resignation or giving up. It's strategic cooperation with reality. Finally, we'll see how the philosophy evolved beyond the core texts and into the practical, social world. The later Stoics applied these tough principles to everything from global politics to personal duty. We'll meet Diogenes on diplomacy, Epictetus on responsibility, and Posidonius on the cosmic perspective. We'll wrap it all up by showing you why these ancient lessons are perfectly summarized in the modern Serenity Prayer. Let's connect the ancient world to your modern life. Diogenes of Babylon, the philosopher of diplomacy. The later Stoics were awesome because they took these high-minded principles and started applying them to practical, everyday problems. Diogenes of Babylon was a bit of a diplomatic superstar, focusing on how Stoic principles should play out in politics and communication. His ideas emphasize common humanity and rational negotiation. He famously championed a concept of global citizenship with this statement: "The wise man has no country." This is a key Stoic concept, cosmopolitanism, meaning citizen of the cosmos. Diogenes argued that our first and highest allegiance shouldn't be to a city, tribe, or a political party, but to the entire human community. We are all citizens of the world, connected by our shared possession of rationality. The human being is your category, not your nationality. This is huge for diplomacy. When you approach a conflict, whether it's a global negotiation or just a heated discussion with your neighbor about the property line, Diogenes would insist that you remember your shared rational nature. We all want the same basic things: security, well-being, and respect. When you are in a heated argument, try to step out of your narrow, defensive corner and appeal to the universal reason you share with the other person. See the person not as the enemy, but as a fellow human who is like you, sometimes mistaken or misguided. This shift takes the destructive heat out of the disagreement and opens a clear path to a rational, diplomatic solution. Epictetus: duty, responsibility, and the good life. Epictetus was an incredibly important figure who bridged Greek and Roman thought, helping to popularize Stoicism among the powerful Roman elite. He made the philosophy less about high logic and more about practical ethics, focusing heavily on duty and responsibility. He gave us a clear ethical mandate for how to live with others. The good man is he who benefits whom he can and injures no one. This confirms that a Stoic life isn't lived in a philosophical bubble, isolated from the world. It's lived among other people, and it absolutely requires you to be a good, contributing citizen. Epictetus made Stoicism about figuring out your specific role in the world, your duties to your family, your community, your profession, and yourself. It's about being reliable, keeping your word, and contributing positively to the well-being of the whole. This means that responsibility isn't a burden to be avoided. It's an opportunity to actively express your virtue and create meaning. If you're a parent, your duty is to raise your kids with virtue. If you're a student, your duty is to apply yourself fully. If you're an employee, Your duty is to perform with diligence and honesty. When you consistently meet your responsibilities, you build respect, both for yourself and from others, and you demonstrate the true purpose of Stoicism. Posidonius, the philosopher of the cosmos. Finally, we hit Posidonius. This guy was a total polymath, a traveler, a geographer, and a philosopher who brought a magnificent sense of awe and wonder back into Stoicism, linking the small human soul to the vast, grand scale of the cosmos. He reminded us of our place in the universe with this idea: the whole world is a well-ordered city. This circles back to Cleanthes, but it brings in a sense of scientific observation. Posidonius wants us to remember that we are an integrated, tiny part of a colossal, beautiful, and fundamentally rational universe. Our lives aren't random flailing. They're part of a grand, intricate design. When you feel completely overwhelmed by your personal, immediate problems, Posidonius invites you to zoom out. Step outside and really look at the stars if you can. Consider the ordered chaos of the weather, the mathematical precision of the seasons, the way the planet spins on its axis without any input from you. Your tiny drama is happening inside this magnificent, perfectly operating machine. This perspective is incredibly humbling, and it can shrink your anxieties down to their actual, manageable size. It is the ultimate reminder that your own inner rational nature is connected to the grand, rational nature of the universe itself. The Serenity Prayer, Stoicism's greatest hit. Now, here's a cool and truly insightful twist to wrap up. You've probably heard the Serenity Prayer, famously used in recovery programs around the world. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Doesn't that sound exactly like the perfect summary of Stoicism? It's the combination of Epictetus, the courage to change the things you can control, Cleanthes, the serenity to accept the things you cannot change, and Chrysippus, the wisdom to know the difference. This shows you that the core idea of Stoicism isn't ancient or obscure. It's one of the most powerful and enduring psychological tools ever developed, a timeless piece of wisdom for navigating the chaos of modern life. So there you have it, folks. We've sailed the high seas of ancient thought and cracked open 11 powerful quotes in just about 30 minutes, from Marcus Aurelius, reminding you that your life is a short commercial break in the history of the universe, to Seneca telling your anxiety to take a chill pill because you're just making stuff up. These guys laid down the blueprint for a life that is calm, effective, and truly free. The Stoic path isn't necessarily easy, but its main principle is beautifully simple. Figure out what you can control, your own thoughts, judgments, and actions, and let go of everything else. Practice that every single day. That, my friends, is the only real power you will ever have. Now, before you go off and contemplate the meaning of the cosmos and the tiny fraction of it you occupy, if this session smacked of the kind of wisdom you needed to hear today, please smash that like button like it owes you money. It really helps us spread this message of rational calm. Also, did we miss your absolute favorite Stoic quote? Let us know down in the comments. What's your personal philosophical mantra? And finally, for more mental martial arts training and deep dives into philosophy and self-mastery, please hit subscribe and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Go out there, be rational, be kind, and remember the ultimate Stoic secret. The only thing that can truly mess up your day is you. Don't do it. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.